Hi everyone, welcome back to Business English Writing. And today, minimizers. Now, minimizers are words like sort of, kind of, a little, not completely, somewhat, slightly, a bit. Again, what we were talking about before was 100%. You want to leave a little bit of room for diplomacy, for some soft feelings in there. So most of the time, these are not formal. Let's take a look at this example. The regulators are strict. Strict, pretty straightforward, but you can soften the language to say the regulators are somewhat strict, or kind of strict, a little strict, or a bit strict. All of these make it a little softer and it leaves a little bit of room. These are a little informal, but it's completely okay to use in informal communications and emails or maybe even text messages. Let's take a look at another example. There's a problem with the financial report you sent. It's very clear, a little direct. Instead of the word problem, we're going to use a more positive word here. There's an issue with the financial report you sent. Now, issue makes me feel a little better than problem, but to make it a little better, you could say there's a slight issue with the financial report you sent. If it's true that it's a slight problem, if it's a big problem, you could just say there's an issue. Another one, you could say there's a bit of an issue with the financial report you sent. Let's take a look at another example. We have a very negative one. I disagree with the analysis of the market research report. Very clear, very direct, very negative. I disagree. Here, you could also say, I disagree a bit with the analysis of the market research report. You're still saying I disagree, but it makes you feel a lot better. We could change it to a negative version of a positive word. Instead of I disagree, you could say I don't agree with the analysis of the market research report. Here, you say, I don't agree, and then now we can add a little bit of a minimizer. I don't completely agree with the analysis of the market research report. In this situation, you say, I completely agree, but just a little bit, I don't agree. So it makes you feel good. Okay, now here's the hard part of business English writing, or even just business in general. Sometimes we have to give negative news to people, and there's difficulty. Maybe somebody's fired. That's it, I went straight for it. You're fired. Or maybe like, I can't do this, or it's impossible for you to do. These are all negative things that you want to make a little softer. So how do you do that? There's an easy formula that you could use. First, acknowledge the unfavorable thing, and then you could apologize, of course, and add appreciation if it's necessary. Let's take a look at this example. Negative news. I can't make the meeting tomorrow. Pretty negative. That's unfortunate. That's what you could say. It's unfortunate that I can't make the meeting tomorrow. Here, what you're doing is you're acknowledging the unfavorable situation. You're saying, it's unfortunate that I can't. Or, I'm afraid that I can't make the meeting tomorrow. It's a little softer. And another one, it's a shame that I can't make the meeting tomorrow. Here's another one. I won't be able to meet the deadline. Oof, that's a hard one. You don't want to tell your boss that. Not good news, right? Pretty negative news. So instead, you could add a softer word in there saying, unfortunately, I won't be able to meet the deadline. You're acknowledging it. You could say, I'm afraid I won't be able to meet the deadline. Or, my apologies, but it seems I won't be able to meet the deadline. And you could add a little phrase of gratitude at the end. Thank you for your understanding. Another example here, I've decided to hire another company. This has happened to me before. You have a situation where you're talking to several companies and you decide to go with one company, but another one is asking, they're pretty eager to work, and you decided to go into another direction. Instead of saying I, number one, you could soften it by spreading the blame to the entire company. Instead of one person, you could say we've decided to hire another company. That's the first thing that you could do. And instead of saying hire another company, a softer way to say that is to say we've decided to go in another direction. Here it's not so direct, and it's not saying I didn't hire you, I hired this company. What you're doing is you're saying I've decided to go in a different direction. And it's a pretty common way to use diplomatic language in business situations. Again, you could add unfortunately or acknowledging the unfortunate situation. I regret to inform you, we've decided to go in another direction. Or I'm afraid we've decided to go in another direction. Here's the final example, the big one. You're fired. Donald Trump, you're fired, right? Pretty negative. The most negative news, pretty much, that you could give. Instead of saying fired, it's really, really direct. Maybe you could use you're fired if there's yelling and throwing and screaming involved. But most situations, you want to use more positive language. So instead, here's a really common one that people say. We've decided to let you go. This is saying that that person has the freedom to move to another company. Or we no longer need your services. Maybe this is for a company you don't want to work with anymore. Again, here you can add acknowledgement of the unfortunate situation. You could say, unfortunately, we no longer need your services. Or, I'm afraid we no longer need your services. Or another one, I regret to inform you that we no longer need your services. So we got from you're fired to I'm afraid we no longer need your services. Sounds a lot better. It's a tough situation, but at least you can save some feelings with some diplomatic language. I hope you don't have to fire anyone in English, in writing. Don't do it in writing, I guess. Good luck to you. Try to be as diplomatic as possible. Okay, bye.